I am scouting after a good campsite, and I'm in an area where I haven't been before. So on the map this looked like a good area, in between two lakes, close to water, but in reality it can be a bit different, especially in the forest. And there's a lot of large rocks here, wind-fallen trees. And I must admit I was a bit lucky to find this small spot here, which was even ground, close to water, and in the forest it's not so much problem with the wind, but it's a good open area here. It just feels good also. So when I arrive in a place, I try to really spend some time to scout after a good campsite, because it's just my experience that if you have a good campsite, you get a good rest, a good night's sleep. It just makes all the difference. So this looks promising, and it's time to pitch the tent. So on this trip I have 2 tents with me, and I don't normally carry 2 tents, but I thought I'd bring 2 tents for illustration purposes. So the first tent here is a pyramid tent. It's the Hyperlite mountain gear Ultamid 2, and it's really my choice for lightweight adventures, and when going with 2 persons it works fine. And for 1 person, this tent is a palace. It's really nice. It's good all the way up from the alpine terrain down to the forest here. It has it doesn't have too large of a footprint, so it's relatively easy to find a good place even in the forest. If you have a very large tent, it can be hard to find a spot. But I pitched the 4 corners here. And the 4 corners, they are really what's giving a pyramid tent its stability. So it's really important to get the 4 corners locked down securely. Let's see, this one here. This one was not that. And then I use a center pole, a carbon fiber center pole. You can use the trekking poles as well, but I find that I like to use trekking poles even for day trips or around camp. So it's good when crossing rivers and obstacles. So I normally go for this, just bringing a center pole. It's fairly lightweight, and then it's just with the 4 corners locked down. It's just to open up. And I really like the simplicity of a pyramid. It's very easy to pitch, and sometimes I can just pitch it for when having a break. So if it's not as good weather, it starts to rain, I can pitch it when very quickly. So I think I need to get it up a little bit further here. So let's see. It's better, maybe one more there. So the trekking pole is, or the center pole is adjustable. The hiking poles are adjustable too, so that means you can pitch low to the ground or high. So let's see here. Let's set this one. See how it looks. Maybe a bit high on this side, but it's quite good weather, so it's also good for ventilation. So then I would just check that the corners are good, and then pitch them, put in the 4 more pegs here. You can pitch this tent in around 2 minutes with some practice. So let's see how this looks. Looks alright. I could do some adjustment. This one needs to loosen a little bit, I think. So it's usually about trying to get the corners, the 4 corners good, in a good shape, and then it's usually just good from there. So looks okay. Now that the Ultamid is pitched, I'm going to pitch a second tent here for illustration purposes. I have the Hilleberg Soulo, which is a quite different tent. It's a dome tent, solo tent, 1-person tent, and it's really it's a 4-season tent, unlike the Ultamid that is. It's not really a 4-season, 4-season tent. This is a really all-round piece of gear. So let's see here if I can get this one up. So this is, unlike the Ultamid, which is pitched with the center pole in a pyramid style, this is an ordinary, like a classic dome tent. So it uses standard tent poles. And I find that this tent, it takes a little bit longer to pitch, but it can be easier because you can move it around afterwards, after you pitched it. With the Ultamid you have to get it right, or you have to move it, and it can take some time. So this one, it's a little bit, takes a little bit longer, but it's also easier in a way. I've used this tent. This is actually the second tent, the second solo that I own. The first one has been through a lot, and it's if you want to buy one tent and use it for like summer, autumn, winter, and just be sure that you have a bomb-proof tent. I think the Solo is hard to beat, really. So let's see here. Sometimes the guy lines can be a little bit tricky, and then you just use these hooks here to build up the tent. And one thing that is good with this system is that if it's really windy, you can anchor down the guy lines before you really start to build up the tent. And that is also good when you're taking down the tent. If it's a storm in the winter, or just very windy, it's really good. So it takes a bit of time, but it's also easy to operate in harsh weather. And today I'm blessed with good weather, but as you know, it's not always the case. So I'm just gonna build this up. Something like that. And then the good thing is you can move it around. See where it might fit. So this spot here is it's a little bit tight, but it's good because this has a smaller footprint and it's easy to fit almost anywhere, and you can move it around. That is good. And then you just pitch out the guy lines. And one thing that you can do that is recommended is that the guy lines should be at the longest, like this, and then you should wrap the upper guy line around the tent pole, because that means that the seams here will not get damaged, because the force will be put on the pole instead. So then it's just to pitch out these guy lines. So with the two tents up here, you can see that the Ultamid is quite a lot larger than the Soulo. The Soulo is definitely more stable in the wind, and it's a true 4-season tent. The Ultamid, it's, I would say, a 3-season tent, 3-season plus maybe. And while it's stable in the wind, I wouldn't go in the harshest of conditions, especially winter, but also I wouldn't take it in extreme like very exposed terrain. Then I would choose the Soulo. So both tents are very all-round, I would say, but the Soulo is having an edge when it comes to being a true 4-season tent. The Soulo weighs a bit more. The fabric, this is made out of Cuban fiber. It's called Dyneema fiber now, I think. This is made out of sil nylon, and this weighs a little bit more than the Ultamid. When it rains, this one absorbs a bit more water than the Ultamid. So opening the Soulo up, it's quite small entrance, but it has a decent vestibule area here. It has a solid inner tent, so it's much warmer than the Ultamid, which by default comes with no inner tent at all. So that's a bonus. And I think Hilleberg's solution with having the inner attached to the outer is really good. It's, you don't have to think about the inner tent. With the Ultamid, you have to get the inner tent separate, and it's only a mesh tent. But with the Ultamid has a huge vestibule area, and if you're two people, you can sleep on either side of the each side of the pole. If for one person, you can have your gear on one side and sleep on the other side, so it's very comfortable in that sense. But yeah, both are great tents. It's probably not a good idea to have two tents if you're going alone on an adventure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack down the Soulo, and I'm going to use the Ultamid for this trip, because I'm down in a sheltered forest area. I don't need the improved stability of the Soulo, and I appreciate the lighter weight and the more livable area inside the Ultamid. So I'm going to pack down the Soulo for now. And then I'm going to show you the rest of the gear that I have.